last week, wideout George Pickens coming off what was Pickens' best year in the NFL. Following that tag, their quarterback, Dak Prescott, offered some advice to his wide receiver yesterday. Listen to this.
George loves football. That's the one thing about it. I just want him to know, don't change your love for football. Don't get in the business mind of this. You played last year on a 1 year for not even that much, right? So if you can go 30, whatever it is now, I think it's the same thing I got. So, when I franchise. So, hey, go do it. At the end of the day, bet on yourself. He's a hell of a player. Hopefully we can get him long term and sign that. But if not, I think the way that he plays the game and the person that he is, he'll be just fine.
Okay, so words of wisdom from Dak Prescott. This felt like a very Dak Prescott thing to say. What was your takeaway?
Man, if I'm George Pickens, I ain't trying to hear all of that. I don't need your opinion of what I should be doing. Just love of the game, go play. If I'm talking to SA and I'm in a contract negotiating, I'm trying to get ESPN to pay me some money, I don't need SA saying to me.
He would not say that. That's very clear.
And 100, he's going to get you $1 million. I know what he's going to say. And that's what I would expect him to say.
Get the money. Until you get the money. Until you get the money.
No doubt about it. And
facts. You're right, Kimberly. You're right.
For Dak Prescott, looking out for Dak Prescott. I'm a better quarterback with George Pickens out there on the field. But as an NFL player, as a professional athlete, you cannot ignore the business side of any of this. We are a business. Jay-Z said it way back in the day, and it is still very true right now. For George Pickens, he has to understand the situation he's in. And I'm not saying he shouldn't go out there and play. At some point, you do have to show up. You can't leave that type of money on the table. That doesn't mean you show up for the entire offseason. You have to strategically go about this in conversations with your agent. I think what Dak Prescott is saying is just be a good soldier, shut up, take the franchise tag deal, don't make any fuss, any noise about it, show up to every single thing, focus on the love of football, and just come in and perform. It's impossible to do that when all of this is lingering because when you bet on yourself, there's a lot of variables that come into play with that. Dak Prescott still has to have a tremendous year for George Pickens to have a tremendous year. The offensive line has to hold up to get the ball to the outside. And, within all of that, George Pickens still has to stay healthy to be able to get paid last year. So it's a lot more than just go play for the love of the game. This isn't Pop Warner anymore, and it's not high school. So there is a business aspect and a business side of it that as players we cannot ignore.
All right, Jason, I feel like you're putting 20 on 10. Like, I feel like all Dak is saying is remember the love of the game and bet on yourself. Dak is somebody who had to wait. A lot of us literally were on this show for years advocating Dak Prescott deserves his money. Dak Prescott's been hit with the tag, right?
No doubt.
Dak Prescott had to say, I'm going to bet on me. Fine. All right, we'll see. And Dak Prescott got the last laugh in the end because he got all the money. Now, I understand the positions are different, quarterback to wide receiver. I understand the money is not the same. But I'll be honest, I was a little surprised that people got super upset with Dak. Like, why are you even talking about that man's business? I think as the quarterback, Dak is just saying, listen, we want you here. Because earlier in that conversation, he was talking about this team, we need key guys. We can make a run. We could have something special here.
Absolutely.
George Pickens is a part of that. There's no way that Dak Prescott would ever say to George Pickens, hey, just be quiet. Don't even worry about the business. I don't think he's saying all of that. I feel like you're putting a little too much mustard on the hot dog. Like, I just think you're, like, overdoing it.
Kimberly.
And you said it yourself. 1 second. You said it yourself.
Sure.
George Pickens has to show up. That's no different. That's the reality of the situation. That's no different than what Dak is saying. Yes, Steven.
Excuse my distraction for a second, but the buttons on your outfit, is that matching your fingernails? Is that matching your fingernails?
My fingernails are always highlighted yellow.
No, damn.
The buttons are gold.
I'm just asking.
Buttons are
I was just
gold.
asking. I was just asking. Because sometimes she rocked the green, and then she switched it. It looks nice. It looks nice. I just asking. I just noticed when you talk. I just noticed.
It's always the same highlighter yellow-green situation. We've been on the show too
I'm just
long.
checking.
If he was in studio,
I'm just checking.
Again, if you were here, you'd be able to see it in living color.
No doubt.
That's true. But I'm quite sure that considering the places that I have been, particularly considering what assignments they send you on, what cities you go to, Kimberly, you can appreciate the fact that I am the way that
I look like SGA.
There you go. Here's the deal, y'all. Here's the deal. Shay, everybody, Kimberly. The one thing no colleague of mine will ever accuse me of is me telling them not to get their bag. Ain't nobody gonna ever say that about Stephen A. You that money. Get that money. You understand what I'm saying? That's the language, it's the universal language, okay? Got to get the money. I do agree with Kimberly, though, when I say that you're throwing a little extra into it, J-Mac, but I get where you're coming from. You're right. Don't get me wrong, you're right. But that wasn't Dak's intent. Dak is like, yo, $30 million. That's what he was really saying. What he was really saying is it's $28, $30 million. All right? Don't forget that. Don't lose. Yeah, there's 100 to more down the line in guaranteed dollars for you to get. But this $30 million right here, you got to get that. That's $30 million. That's what he's saying. And I understand that. And here's what also you have to appreciate, J-Mac, about Dak Prescott in this regard.
Yeah.
As somebody who has sat down with Jerry Jones on several occasions, and I know him a little bit, remember what he said publicly when I interviewed him. He said that Dak didn't get what he wanted initially. He showed up and played. It's not right. I want to emphasize, Jay, it's not right. And I told Jerry this to his face. It's not right, particularly with the whole Micah Parsons situation and others. It's not right, but it is who he is. Jerry Jones is the kind of cat that if you don't show up, he ain't trying to do you any favors. Zero. And that's what you have to take into consideration, too, if you George Pickens.
Yeah.
He couldn't get away with that with a Dak Prescott. That's a quarterback. Right. But with Pickens ain't Dak. And so on one hand, you could look at Dak and say, look, bro, he ain't you. He got to get his bag while he can get his bag and all that stuff. But on the other hand, you got to listen to Dak, who knows from experience what it's like dealing with Jerry. And as a result, saying to George Pickens, don't lose your love for the game, bro. Do what you got to do for you. We understand that. Try to get that bag, but don't devalue yourself because you're so frustrated. And I think that's the ultimate lesson that Dak was trying to give to George Pickens. And I understand and I can respect that.
And I agree with you guys on Dak's intent of what he's trying to say and convey to George Pickens in that moment. I think the piece we're missing, though, is how that clip will be used for George Pickens. Because now if his agent wants to make a stink about the franchise tag and wants to really try to pressure the Dallas Cowboys into giving him a long-term deal right now, what do you think Jerry Jones is going to point to his agent and to George Pickens? Did you listen to your quarterback? Did you hear what he had to say? He told you, just play for the love of the game. Don't worry about next year or what the future is going to hold or the money you're leaving on the table. Just focus on the present.
Jay,
that, to me, is the part of it.
But Jerry's going to do that anyway. Jerry's going to do that anyway. You know it. Kimberly knows it. Shay knows I know it. Jerry's going to do that anyway during the negotiation. Understand, ladies and gentlemen, because I think I'm kind of qualified to speak on this subject. When it comes to negotiation, understand their objective is to milk as much as they can out of you for the cheapest amount available.
For sure.
And when your marketability is such, it is what it is. You got to go for it. But you'll never get all of what you want. You'll never get that, okay? At least initially. The objective is to get as much as you can. Because when it dissipates, you're going to have to accept less down the line at a later date. But that's still a bag. And you got to remember that, too. Dak is giving the brother sound advice, my man. And it's from personal experience, and I get where Dak is coming from. I truly do.
My biggest takeaway is when it's time for negotiation. I need to hit SA up.
Sometimes people take up so much of the pie that there isn't really much left over for other people.
Oh, what would you have
You can say that. You can say that, and that would happen to be true. That would happen to be true. That would happen to be true in most situations. Not all. Not all.
What would you have rather Dak said, J-Mac? Give him the bag.
Right. That's what I was gonna ask. Had Dak said George Pickens is worth whatever he wants. However, I would just tell him.
I'm not commenting on somebody else's contract situation. George Pickens is a wide receiver that we want in the building. He knows how much we want him here. There's things that have to be worked out between him and the Dallas Cowboys, but he knows 100% that we want him to.
I agree with that, Jay.
Dak is putting George on game because Jerry is a whole different animal.
You want to put me on game? Pick up your phone, hit me with the text and say, hey, George, this is how you handle it. I don't need you in the media to say what I need to do in this situation.
He don't need to be in the media. He don't need to be in the media, but when you behind closed doors, you certainly look.
Game.
I ain't trying to get into the weeds about how much is whatever. But we need to make sure we take care of that person.
Maybe they
You got to say that.
Closed doors.
I'm saying I think Dak did already. I think Dak did already, and that's all he needs to do.
Very true.
In the last 5 seasons, the Cowboys in the NFL have ranked last in total cash spent during the free agency period. Free agency starts in a week, March 11th.
Let's go.
We'll be counting down the days, guys. Thank you very much.